Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother and Dad. Love, Ruth, John, Mark, Jan, Patricia, and Peter. 1984, Part 181. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. March 15th, 1984. Dearest Mother and Dad, we're home with a bang. Thank you for your letters, and to Peter. He has his on his desk. I'm sorry that I have not written since our return, but it's been very difficult. Peter has relapsed badly. He began his new job at the Manor Care Nursing Home nights the night we left. He completed a month there. However, the combination of working nights, not enough sleep, not eating correctly, loneliness, cold, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. He stopped his meditating, turned the heat down to 58 degrees. His girlfriend Sunita came to visit him, and he's been to South Carolina to visit her parents last weekend. Hi. However, he began to use speed, eating the insides of Vicks inhalers, and when we arrived home he was very angry. He had eaten 4 the day we came home. Just began that weekend. He is like Dad at his worst and has been particularly abusive to me. We have had him out to his aftercare twice, but he has refused to go to detoxification, which is what he needs at the hospital. Pray for him. Continue. He has been very much shaken by his job at the nursing home. It probably was too much for him. He goes for 36 hours at a time. He talks about joining the U.S. Marines, going and living with Sunita. He needs help. We need help. I'm trying to get ready for my art show in 3 weeks, but have not sent the invitations. John is in court regularly, Akron today. This poor young man is so very sick. It's like going through hell for all of us. Patty is due home this weekend. God bless. Love, Ruth. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. March 20th, 1984. Dearest Mother, thank you for your letter, and I'm glad Dad is better. You were most perceptive that Peter's job would be too stressful and working at night also. Peter's in the psychiatric ward at Lakewood Hospital now. We are heartsick. He is such a bright, sensitive, caring person when he is okay. We are fortunate to have Patty home for a few days. She is leaving for New York this afternoon for a few days and to Florida for some sun. It's her spring break, and then back to her very tough schedule. However, she seems to be working hard and really into it. They have completely dissected the body in medical school. She said, "Just think, we've covered the whole body." Good for her to have a break. Look, she looks great. Peter continues to blame me, and this strain is getting to me. My art show is in 2 weeks, and I haven't sent the invitations yet. I also need more paintings done and framed. I will have 5 or 6 in a show at the Yacht Club next weekend, April 1st, and my show is April 8th, so I have lots to do. However, Peter is our main concern. He is coming down from the speed, Vicks inhalers, but they have a needle on his hand for Thorazine to calm him down, and in case his heart stops beating, he said. He is very angry and with me, so I won't go to see him again. I've been twice. I really don't know how you stood so many years of it. I've always thought that if Dad had had some psychological help, he'd have been better. Now here we are with Peter, and we don't seem to be any better. Even worse, also Chris with Bill. Peter, pray for him. Continue. God bless. Love you, Ruth. Had a jacket from Irene regarding the Daily Word, but she didn't mention Christmas cards or the jacket. That's okay, though. Carly Donaldson just phoned that Peter phoned her yesterday and would like to have visitors. Patty visited him last night. John will visit him tonight. He phoned Mrs. Vogler and told her he's dying. God bless. Love, Ruth. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. March 21st, 1984. Dearest Mother and Dad, I'm so glad that you like the sweater and can use the tea bags for gifts. I mailed the sweater when we got home, though I couldn't bear to write what was happening with Peter. If you ever felt that Chris and I didn't understand or relate with your struggle with Dad, we are going through it ourselves with our sons. Patty has been home and good to have her here, but so sad for her to see her brother like this. She said, I have known Peter all my life. Poor Peter is now in. Patty called yesterday and they said he wasn't well, so she went up on the way to the airport. They don't want me to see him, so I waited in the car and she came back crying and almost changed her mind about leaving. They had put Peter in leather straps and he couldn't go to the bathroom and was in pain. They had had 2 security guards waiting outside the bathroom and gave him a shot of Thorazine. She phoned John, who phoned the doctor, who had them let him go to the bathroom. John went last night and he was in a room with double locks on it. He should not be given shots because he becomes addicted so easily. Pray for him. Pray for us. You know what would have happened to Dad if he had been put in a mental institution. Last night they agreed that if he behaved, they'd take off 1 leather strap after 4 hours. Hopefully he has. This seems to be a progressive illness. Only Dad knew. He kept saying, Peter is like me. He was doing so well when we left. A 9-month struggle down. I have to address my invitations, but like last year, my heart is not in it. Patty should be in New York City for a couple of days and to Florida for a couple and then back to her studies. I pray that she can survive. John too, and me too. Thursday. John visited Peter and he seemed somewhat better, lonely, and asked for cards from friends. He had phoned John's mother and others and told her bad things about me last week. So send him a card. Lakewood Hospital, number 4F, 14519 Detroit Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio, 44107. Love, Ruth. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. Friday, March 23rd, 1984. Dearest Mother and Dad, last night we visited Peter together. One of his friends from high school was visiting him and they seemed to be having a good talk. This young man's mother had shot his father, I believe drunken, and been in jail, and now the young man is living with her. Peter and John Karosha played pool, and Peter had drawn many pictures and gave me one of myself crying and smiling. He's trying to get out by filing a letter legally. He did hug me twice and asked if I'd been crying. He was out of his isolation room. It is so sad. Our woman priest, Gay Jennings, suggested that I see a counselor, which I will tomorrow. She, Gay, will visit Peter today. John is mailing some invitations to the art show today, and I'm going to the framer to get some framed. It's very difficult to think of anything else but Peter. Peter told me that he wants to go back to being the happy family we were before Pamela died. Patty is in New York and supposed to fly to Florida tonight for the weekend. I noticed it's cool in northern Florida, where she'll visit Robin Schreier, her high school friend. I'm enclosing stamps, but one letter came with a mark on it, used stamps. Continue to pray. God bless. Love, Mother, Ruth. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. March 25th, 1984. Dearest Mother, this doesn't seem to be getting easier. Poor Peter, they gave him too much Thorazine without the antidote Cogentin, and he's having terrible withdrawal attacks of trembling and shaking and also has a fever. Now the doctor thinks he's manic depressive and wants to take tests and may put him on lithium. It goes on. Pray for us. We're trying to find another doctor to get another opinion. Peter asked for your phone number Saturday as he wanted to call Gus because he hadn't talked to her in a long time. Your visit to Duke University to ask him to stop smoking marijuana was a good one. He said that the only reason he began again was because he got so depressed. We prayed together tonight at the hospital, and 4 friends came yesterday to offer consolation, consultation, and prayers, and Peter has had about 5 young men plus other friends visiting him. He took the flowers sent him and distributed them to the other patients. God bless him. I had an appointment with a psychologist Saturday for an hour, $60 an hour. She said I'm okay, have a lot going on. The 26th, Monday. I don't feel so good tonight. Peter was very demanding and rude, abusive, so I went and painted. John came to the hospital and played ping pong with him, and then I drove John to the athletic club for his poker game, and I went back to the psychiatric ward for a family meeting. I just feel like crying. Damn, he acts to me just like Dad did. I don't know how much more of this I can take. March 27th. We would just like to have Peter back to normal again. I don't know if I'm up to visiting him today, maybe with John. I feel that as long as they keep him, on any kind of drugs, he'll continue to act this way. They have taken more blood tests, and we have a new psychologist seeing him today. We called Patty yesterday, and she had a few good days in New York seeing Jill, her roommate, in medical school in Chicago, and seeing old co-workers at psychiatry, and a few days in Florida with Robin Schreier, and got some sun, and now back to her new term in medical school. Pray for us. The only way you survived, I'm sure. Love, Ruth. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116, April 3rd, 1984. Dearest Mother and Dad, thank you so very much for your letter yesterday and Peter's. I took them up to read to Peter, but didn't get a chance to before he exploded. He was very depressed, wants to join Pamela. John came later and calmed him down. Thank God for John. He is going to watch the Cleveland Indians opening game on TV with Peter tonight. My hopes were up a little Sunday, for when we took up the Donaldsons, he talked about baseball, saying he wanted to go to church and miss Soma the cat. He does seem better with other people and wants letters and visitors. He is so lonely. Today they are doing the testing for the bipolar manic depressive, which is treated with lithium. A fine line between the therapeutic and toxic dose, however. I'm so glad that you are there. You are an inspiration, a survivor. Poor David, Byron, Ted. Peter says he just can't face all the unhappiness in the world and that the devil is in control. I'm going ahead with my art show, had 5 down at the yacht club show last weekend. After visiting Peter, we took a young couple from church who have bought 3 of my paintings to the show and dinner at the yacht club with Carly and Dick Donaldson Friday. Saturday we saw the psychologist with John the Rock and took Char and her date to the art show and dinner at the yacht club, and had lots of compliments on paintings and gave out invitations to my show. Sunday, church, prayers for Peter, and to brunch at the yacht club, an art show, and then a young lady, doctor, and her husband who have bought one of my paintings. Then to the symphony orchestra and to a lovely reception for the soloist John Mack, whom Rachel Andrus takes lessons from, and conductor Levi. I gave $100 to the orchestra as a patron. Then Carly and Dick went with us to see Peter. So I've sent my invitations, been going to the frame maker with paintings, entered 4 in another show yesterday. We went to family support group at the psychiatric ward last night. Today, Lucy Rodine, kidney transplant, husband is the superintendent of schools, Carly and Ruth Van Hella, heart valve operation, and I are going to the Cleveland Clinic and lunch. Last week we played duplicate bridge at Ruth's and was second, tied. Carly was high. I also was high with John and Bud in the Bahamas, so getting better. Pray, write to Peter, love you, Ruth. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116, Thursday, April 12th, 1984. Dearest Mother and Dad, thank you for your letter. I was so glad that you are getting the things done on your home that you want. Hope they expand the back platform across the back so that it is more like a deck, and put the steps towards the garage and wider steps. Get Bud's input. He'll help. Great ideas. Oh well. Beautiful sunny day here outdoors. Lots of things going on. Would love to have you visit us whenever you can. Lots of bedrooms here. I know you'd love to see Janet and her babies. Last week, Tuesday, I went to the Cleveland Clinic with Lucy, kidney transplant, Carly and Ruth, heart valve, and saw John's partner's wife, Betty. She has cancer and is in her 50s. She said she'd see me next week, but died Saturday at 4 in the morning with 7 children. We went to see their family yesterday. The 4 of us went shopping and lunch. Wednesday I picked up my paintings from the framers at their home, a lovely home full of all art, paintings, china, antiques, some 400 years old. They are from Hungary. Lovely visit. Thursday, Paula Dreger, Holly's mother, helped me hang my art show. It looks good. I took pictures of it, which I will send later. 3 psychiatrists feel Peter is manic depressive and suicidal, and they've started him on lithium. However, all he wants is his marijuana, and gave us a tirade all last evening. He's been in a month at $330 a day, plus 4 doctors, plus drugs. Very depressing. Can only remember the good times on marijuana. Rachel Andrus came Friday but didn't mention Peter, so wondered if you'd told Chris about his relapse. Don't if you haven't. I'm glad Bill is somewhat better. Rachel got a call to play in a symphony Sunday, $140 for 2 Sundays, so went back but saw my show. We went to a dinner dance at the yacht club with Carly and Dick and the Crawfords Saturday. Dick took Peter 3 books. Peter had been somewhat better during time between drugs. John watched baseball with him. Sunday, my show after church, flowers for Pamela on the altar, pink carnations, lovely. So sad, Pamela, Peter, prayers for Peter. My show went well, beautiful day, nice reception. Shar thought 75 to 100 came, and 50 signed the book. I sold 12 paintings plus 2 gifts, about $1,000 sold, plus $200 in gifts, a wedding and a photo. Ruth Faulkner, Mary's mother, sent a beautiful big flower arrangement of yellow and red tulips and big daisies, gorgeous. They made the show so lovely. We took them to Ruth Van Hallis for a surprise birthday party for Dick Donaldson, Vice President of Standard Oil. I took cheese fondue the day before for it, party right after my show. Ann and Wayne Duff came and said Peter and John were coming, and Peter came, briefly, sideburns shaved a la Indian. Went to church, retreat Monday at Cedar Hills. Pray, God bless. Saw the psychologist Saturday. I am okay. Love, Ruth. 21508 Avalon Drive, Rocky River, Ohio, 44116. Tuesday, April 24th, 1984. Dearest Mother and Dad, I was so glad when the mail fell out of the chute yesterday to see the familiar airmail sticker from you. I was so glad, too, to get a Unity Easter folder with messages and a letter from Irene, too. Thank her. I really needed all the help that I could get. Mrs. Vogler phoned to thank us for the Easter lily John left for her. Good to talk to her, too. I don't even know when I last wrote to you, probably repeated an earlier letter. We phoned Bud last week to send you an Easter lily, and we'd send him the check for it instead of paying the florist here for phone calls and extra charges. However, I noticed that the one lily that Dick sent John's mother through the florist had 12 blooms, and very large ones, and the one we bought here and took last night was much smaller, with only 6 smaller blooms. So I guess the florist's extra money is worth it. Thank you for the hypnotist suggestion and the idea of taking Soma to see Peter. I had thought of the hypnotist idea, but so far we are relying on the psychiatrists. However, we are really in a deep depression about Peter. He doesn't seem to be getting better, maybe even worse. And it's getting to me, too. Last week we had a family therapy session where he told us the first 10 years of his life were happy. But when Pamela died, he not only lost her support, but Mark went to college and he lost him, and John and I too, because we were so sad. So he felt he lost his family. He also says these deep depressions he got that caused him to take marijuana. He says we don't love him and feels suicidal. The next night he called to tell me that it wasn't my fault, that I had all these problems, that he understands that I too am a sick person. He also talked to Patty Wednesday, and she said he sounded better. Friday, a young woman from church, Wiley, whose husband committed suicide last year, took him for a walk to the library and said he seemed good. It was a beautiful day, but he got some Herman Hesse books that are very depressing. Saturday, we went to John's partner's wife's memorial service, and then John took Peter out. They went to Wiley's house for her child's birthday party, and home briefly. He didn't seem too bad. He was looking forward to Easter and going to his grandma's. However, when John picked him up at the hospital, he was still sleeping and went to church without breakfast. It was a cold day, and he insisted on wearing a white silk shirt Sunita gave him from India and a summer linen suit. He couldn't sit through church and didn't take communion. On the way to the cemetery, he got into an argument, and at Pamela's grave he said he'd join her soon. Then he wouldn't go to his grandma's and stayed in his room. We didn't realize he took up a gallon of wine left from my art show, and he drank about a quart on an empty stomach, but for his lithium. We took up Soma and Lucy, but the cats were screeching, so I let them out. It was one of the longest days. Patty phoned and he shouted at her. He went back at 7:30 p.m., but they called from the hospital about 9 o'clock that he hadn't arrived. John said he had insisted on visiting some of our friends on the way. Now he won't see John. I'd wondered if you'd told Chris because Rachel didn't ask about Peter. Don't know what to do about his birthday, May 11th, and John's May 19th. Patty's recital is on May 9th. We went to see John's mother last night. Sunita had called her to tell us not to go to the Bahamas when we were in Florida. Love, Ruth. Now we have 2 letters based on the original publication, and the first is from my mother, Ruth Smallshaw Ray. Dear Peter, Alice, and Tim, it was so good to get your letters. SFMC 92 and 93 are very sad. So wonderful to talk to you. Ruth Smallshaw Ray, Rocky River, Ohio. And the next letter is from my father, John S. Ray. Dear editor, another great batch of pictures. Thanks. Mark really had a close call with diabetes. Thank goodness he made it. Peter's night job at the Manor Care nursing home just about finished him and everyone around him off. Sad, sad, sad. Bad, bad times in 1984. Amazing that we all somehow managed to get through all of it. Sad, sad, sad. What wonders the meditation has wrought for Peter. Thanks for this very painful issue. Love, Dad. John S. Ray, Rocky River, Ohio. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.